might be one of the most controversial books of 2026, so obviously I had to read it. Some people are saying it's completely overhyped, and others are saying that it's really just not that good and could have used a lot of editing. Regardless, I kept seeing it everywhere. So in this video, I'm going to be reading it, rating it, and telling you if it is worth it or not. So currently, I'm about 60 pages into Just Friends by Haley Pham, and I want to talk about like the first couple of chapters because I feel like they could have been written a little bit better and it would have taken me more into the story. Context, we're following the main character who has to move back to her hometown after receiving devastating news that her aunt is passing away. In one of the chapters, it says something about, you know, that call, the call you get when it is about time. And I feel like that could have been our opening line, and it would have made the story a little bit better, and it would have kind of included the aunt. The story keeps taking me out of it. Like, I'm trying to get invested in the story and in the characters at this point, but there's been a couple of times where I've been like, I don't know what the main character's name even is, because there's so much dialogue with characters that I haven't even met yet. And I'm like, I feel like I haven't had enough time with our main characters to really understand the significance of what's happening in the present timeline, because there's a past and a present. The past timeline is supposed to be what's balancing that out, but there's not enough past, but there's too much present going on, and so I'm not connecting with the characters as much as I want to. So yeah, that's my thoughts so far, and I guess we'll go ahead and continue reading this book. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours since we last talked, and I am currently on page 230. I wanted to go over a couple of points in the book where I was like, I don't know if what they're saying about this book is right, or if some of the things they're saying makes sense. So on page 89, I got the biggest ick. It's from their past selves when they were like teenagers, and they're talking about how much they've loved each other and when did they start loving each other. I want to read this part of it. I feel like I'm in a dream, like my head is floating off my shoulders, bubbles rising to the top and releasing with a satisfying fizz. Yup, that's it. That's what I've got. I didn't like it. That was my biggest ick that I had gotten from the book thus far. It wasn't my favorite thing that I've ever read, because what do you mean? It was bubbling up like fizz. Another thing that I've seen other authors do really well, and someone who does this especially well, is Raven Kennedy, but they have like a main plot and a main story that they're trying to express throughout the book, but they also include these little tidbits of information that are good for real life. I see it a lot, and I mean a lot, in fantasy books. Another author I think who does this is Holly Black, where she kind of tells the story but also includes the real life information, and I feel like that's what she was trying to do here on page 135, where it says, when a bone breaks, if you keep it in the wrong position, it will heal but incorrectly. It feels like I'd been walking around for years, feeling fine enough, only for one night to make me realize I'd been walking with my leg bent at a 90-degree angle. It just made me think that like that's what she was trying to do. And when it comes to Haley, I think readers wanted it to feel like her videos feel. They're very much her. Her videos are her own style, her own life, her life experiences that she's telling you as her videos go on, but it doesn't feel like she brought her unique perspective to this book. It feels like she took a bunch of other authors and the way that they write their novels, especially I can see Lynn Painter being one of her bigger influences in this novel, and kind of like littering it along the book because it just feels like she tried to copy, or not copy, but tried to take too much influence from those authors, and it just came out wrong. It feels like the same way Powerless feels by Lauren Roberts, where it's kind of like a mesh of different authors' writing styles, and it doesn't feel very unique. There wasn't anything that I've learned from this book that would have made me particularly want to pick this up if it wasn't for her being the author. Like, it's just supposed to feel very generic and very vanilla-y because it's kind of just second chance romance. There's another book I want to talk about that does this really, really well. Is Final Offer in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and the unique perspective that that book had was that the main character was dealing with alcoholism, and it was a part of the series, so you got to meet him in other books, the main character, and you kind of got a collective of how that character acts, and it dove more into why the characters behave that way. This book does not do that. It gives us a very general and basic understanding of the characters, but it doesn't make me feel connected to them in the slightest. So I'm not saying that I'm a hater of the second chance romance genre, because I very much enjoy it every single time. And I wanted to like this book so bad because I'm sure you guys know, and if you don't, I am a huge fan of Haley Pham. I love watching her videos. They're kind of like a bigger influence on why I wanted to start my channel, is because I know how much her videos have affected other people. But I don't understand why, when I was reading this, it came from other people's writing styles. It didn't come from her, it felt like. I feel like almost disconnected to the characters and to the book. I'm not sure at this point I'm even connected enough to really care how it ends. The thing I wanted to talk about was I got to page 200 in the book, which is a huge milestone because I was chugging along very, very slowly, if I do say so myself. And we were finding out why Declan has his limp. When he's introduced, it talks about how he's kind of limping. And I was like, well, why is he limping? And, you know, the main character doesn't know either. But we don't find out until page 200 in the book. And the character was introduced within the first couple of chapters. So I'm kind of confused as to why we're just now getting basic information about the characters when we're 200 pages into the book. It just doesn't sit right. And I'm trying to be as kind as possible at the moment because I know this is her first round of writing. This is the first time she's ever written a book and published it. Granted, there's going to be a lot of things that are wrong with the book. It's just that I feel like it could have been edited more. There are a lot of lines in the book where it's kind of confusing what's happening. If you really don't pay attention to if you're in the past or the present timeline, you can get easily confused between the two. I don't know, you guys. I'm gonna continue reading it. That's my thoughts for now. But we do have a good little chunk left in the book, but we also have an exclusive chapter where Haley herself annotates some of the pages that I've mentioned. So I'm interested to go back and see why she made those choices and why the book turned out kind of almost rushed in a way, and figure out what I'm going to end up rating this book. So I just finished Haley Pham's Just Friends. I now know my rating. I'm disappointed. I'm super disappointed by this. I wanted it to be so much more, and it just wasn't. It didn't live up to my expectations, and I felt like that was a lot of other people's reaction too, which is why there was so much controversy around the book. If I'm being honest, I would rate this book out of 5 stars a 2. And honestly, I don't think I've rated anything a 2 in a really long time. The reason I didn't give it just straight a 1 star is because some of the writing was decent, and I'm also looking forward to if she writes another book. I would hope it would be a lot better than this book. I definitely felt like this was rushed, like it was just rushed out as soon as she finished it, because even watching some of her videos, she goes back over her own book and reads it so many times. And there's a couple of other booktubers who got to review the book before it was even published, and even they said that a lot of editing was needed before it got published, and I feel like they weren't done with it just yet. I feel like this could have been edited a few more times before we got the actual thing. So I read the annotated chapter and I don't think it changed my rating at all. I still think it's staying at 2 stars. But if you guys liked this video and you want to see more like me just reading one book and reviewing it, drop a comment. And if you guys don't care to, there's links down below so you can check out my TikTok and my Instagram. But that is all from me. Bye everybody!